Okay, so there may be a few people joining me, but I think with the stream you can go back to the beginning. So if you're not listening now, you should be able to sort of go back to the beginning and get this information. So let me cover um, my assessment, and I have to say this is only my assessment based on reading the order, based on my understanding of the law. Not a lawyer. I may have made, some sort of mistake with this, but this is my best understanding right now, right? So, in a previous video, I had broken the selectees down into 5 different groups, right? So there were people. Yes, there's some news about DV 2020. Hang on in there. Listen to what I'm about to say. So in the 5 groups. There were people that were already issued visas prior to the immigrant ban in April, right? There were people that had, and that was group 1. Group 2 is people that had AP cases, meaning they had been for an interview, but their cases, for whatever reason, weren't approved. Or even some people always say, some people say to me, I was approved, but I didn't get my visa. No, you weren't approved. Until you got your visa, you weren't approved. You're on AP. And so you're group 2, right? So if you're on AP and the AP has now cleared, meaning you've provided whatever documentation you had to provide way back then, perhaps you had to follow up with a medical or whatever it might be, you're on AP, but you're approvable. Should we put it that way? Third group is people that had cancelled interviews. So they had already been scheduled when the immigrant ban came in and COVID started, etc. But the visa interview was cancelled. That's my third group. Ready for scheduling is my fourth group, right? So you've received the ready for scheduling email. Very specifically, the email that says congratulations, you've provided all the documentation to KCC. You're ready for scheduling. I don't mean you sent documents and you received an automatic email. I'm talking about you received this subsequent email saying you are ready for scheduling. And then the fifth group is people who had never received that ready for scheduling. So who is the order going to help? It's going to help the first group. For a start. So those people that already had visas issued should be able to immediately contact their embassy on Monday. You should print out a copy of the order. It's attached to my. I'll attach it here, but it's attached to my blog as well. And you need to contact the embassy and say, good news, you can issue me the visa, right? And reissue the visa. There shouldn't be anybody anywhere in the world that is blocked by that if the embassy is open. Now, if the embassy is closed for genuine reasons, then they may try and use that reason. But essentially, I think almost all the embassies are open to the point where they can do administrative work. But perhaps can't interview someone. Well, you don't need to be interviewed if you've already been issued the visa previously and you're just asking for a reissued. For those people, you'll need to pay the fees again, the $330 per person. You'll have to pay that fee again, and you may need to provide a medical if the old medical has expired. There is an extension, a sort of rolling extension of these medicals, so you probably want to check on that. But because of the timing, I'm going to explain in a moment, it's probably going to be important that you retake your medical. So you could be reissued your visa here in September, by September 30th. That's still the deadline as currently set. And that means that you need to ask the embassy to reissue your visa, provide a new medical, and get a 6-month timeline after the medical, which will take you into beyond the proclamation date, right? So you probably won't be able to travel. We'll have to figure that out, but I think your entry is still going to be barred You may not be able to travel into the USA until the new year, until January, but you should be able to get a new visa issued now. And if you've got a new medical, it'll have a full 6-month validity beyond the 30th of September. In other words, right into next year. Could be March, right? So that's really important. That's a really big win for the lawsuit. Just that alone, frankly, I think that's an amazing win. That's good. For people in AP that already had their interview and their visa is issuable, meaning they've gone through all the process, I suggest you also contact the visa as soon as possible, as soon as they're open. Get emailing the embassies, etc. Because in your case, again, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing stopping your visa being issued on the same terms I just discussed for Group 1, meaning you may have to provide a new medical. You, funnily enough, won't have to pay your fee again. It's a bit arbitrary. This whole thing is going to be arbitrary. You won't have to pay your fee again, but you probably have to provide a new medical, and you need to do that quickly. So that means those people need to also contact a physician and organize a medical just in case. Book a medical. Now that actually becomes a difficulty in some countries where there's a lot of people on AP. So you need to do two things: contact the embassy and arrange a medical if you can. And let's hope that there's enough space to clear out a lot of those cases. So those people also could be helped. Okay, people who had cancelled interviews. Now, this is going to depend on the embassies being opened. If you had a cancelled interview, you should be able to contact the embassy and contact them and say you want your interview. You want adjudication of your case prior to September 30th. And again, this doesn't need KCC, but you do need an interview, which means the embassy has to be able to interview you somehow. They may do it over the phone. They may do it on a video conferencing. If they've got limited access to do some appointments in the embassy, then they may do that. But they should not be able to apply a rule to you that says that your case is not an emergency. Your case should be handled as an emergency or mission critical case. That's what the ruling says. And you're going to have to push this, and I'm going to help as much as I can for people to push this forward. But that's something that's going to be possible for people that had visa interviews cancelled, right? The last two groups, 4 and 5, right? Ready for scheduling and people who didn't even get the ready for scheduling. Group 5, I don't think you can be helped unless we get an extension on September 25th. And even if we do get an extension on September 25th, it may not help you because it may only be for people named on the lawsuits, right? So that's a possibility. For Group 4, I think it's going to be difficult because that requires KCC to schedule the interview. These interviews should have been scheduled in July. We're now in September. And, what will KCC do? Not very much is the answer to that. My dog's going to go nuts. But the reality is that it's going to be difficult for them to do very much at all. And I think what will happen, therefore, is that there will be a prioritization of anybody that was named on the lawsuits. And that if any interviews are arrangeable, they'll be for those people. And perhaps they'll get their cases interviewed and approved in time. So for groups 1, 2, and 3, there is help. I believe there's help, right? For groups 4 and 5, the chances are less, and perhaps for group 5, the chances are pretty much none. But there may be some cases there. Now, I've spoken in previous videos about my hope that we could get some people through. I don't think we're going to see, we're not going to see tens of thousands of visas going through. But if we can get one case through, if we can get 1,000 cases through, that's worth it, right? That's been worth all the hassle. The lawyers have worked their butts off. I've been focused on this for weeks. I've pushed this as hard as I possibly could, using as much influence as I could with people, but helping out the lawyers in the background, etc. I know for a fact they've been working weekends, evenings. They have been working hard for people. I've been really, frankly, fed up with people who said things like, "Oh, nobody cares about us and nobody's doing anything for us." That's just nonsense. And if you say that, you're a fool. People have been working their asses off for you, and you know, frankly, I don't think this would be the same in any other country. I think this is something where we all realize the injustices that are being created by Trump and his administration, and people are prepared to put their own family time and that sort of thing aside to work for you. So I hope everyone realizes that it's not good news for everyone, but it's good news for some people, and that might be the best that we can hope for. So, okay, I wanted to give this clarity. The lawyers, the various lawyers, Curtis Morrison, Greg Siskind, Charles Cook, Jesse Bless, all of these lawyers are going to come up with their own interpretations of the judgment, and their interpretations are better than mine. Right? They are lawyers. I'm not. But this is my understanding, and it may be. If there's a contradiction in here, I apologize to the lawyers. I'm not trying to make your life more difficult, but obviously people have been desperate to hear about this. Okay, let me scan through the questions quickly. I'm going to ignore some of the questions that are about DV 2021. I'm not talking about. This is not about that. This is about DV 2020 for now. I'm not going to talk about H1Bs or F4s or those sort of people, right? I'm going to talk about DV lottery only. 7%. Interview is cancelled, but basically, right. So Andrew Plekan, I'm a DV 2020 winner. My interview is cancelled, so basically I should be interviewed in September. You may be. You need to push that with your embassy. And they don't need any permission from KCC or anyone else, and the order is very clear. So there's no reason why they can't issue your visa before the end of the year. So you need to push it with your embassy, Andrew. Okay, will I make a special video for 2021? Again, DV 2021, October is gone. Forget October. November is a possibility. We might get some faster action because of this lawsuit for DV 2021. But you guys in DV 2021 need to, realize we've got a whole year ahead of us, whereas DV 2020 people have got weeks. Right, so I'm focused more on DV 2020 than I am on DV 2021. So please just respect that. Nerty in Russia, you're waiting for adjustment of status. No, your visas won't be reserved. You're doing adjustment of status. You need to finish up by September 30th. You're not affected by these orders in any way. You're excluded from the original order. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Waleed. Excellent abbreviation. Thank you. Nerty, it doesn't matter how many times you repeat the same question. It doesn't make me answer it several times. Right. Pratama Thapa. You're a 2020 winner and your interview is cancelled in April. So any chance of interview? Yes. Thapa, I kind of assume you're from Nepal. You'll need to contact Nepal, your embassy, wherever that is. Thank you, Nerty. You'll need to contact the embassy and figure out whether you can get an interview. But as I mentioned, you're in what I would say is group 3, and you've got some opportunity to get sorted out here. Thank God. Right. So Maxwell, you're saying that the last deadline to travel since the fiscal so the deadline to travel, if you get it, so there is no 31st of December, right? Sorry, 31st of September. The fiscal year ends on 30th of September. But if you're issued a visa prior to 30th of September, you can travel after the 30th of September within the validity period of your visa, and the visa is valid up to 6 months after the date of the medical. Okay, so if you do a medical a week before the interview, for example, or if you do a medical and take that and ask for a reassurance of your visa, you'll get 6 months from the date of the medical, which it'll be almost 6 months. So that means it's going to be October, November, December, January, February, March. Right. So we'll have people with validity dates into March, right, who are able to travel after the entry ban ends on the 31st of December. So they'll be able to travel in January, February, March, right? So that's good news for those people. Nude, what if you're a plaintiff with one of the mentioned lawyers? So if you're one of the named plaintiffs, you're going to be given priority, and whatever your position is, whether you're in 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, the government have been told to give priority to those people. So, Nude, that might be good news for you. Please let us know what happens. Right, so Dennis Kalala, you said you're a DV 2020 winner and you did your interview, but you haven't gotten your visa. Right, so you've been on AP. You're in my group 2, and if your case is approvable, you need to contact your embassy to find out if your case is approvable. You may need to repeat your medical, but you could get your visa, but it needs to have a new medical so that you can travel between now and March, right? So contact your embassy as quickly as possible, Dennis. Save the live replay. I think it's saved automatically. I hope so. So yeah, please confirm that. I did a live a few minutes ago. Please confirm that one is replayable. Should I contact the embassy? Right. This is a great question. Andrew Plecken, you're saying, should I contact the embassy for myself, or do they have to contact me? Nobody should sit there waiting to be asked, right? This is, it's important you push for your right. You need to do stuff, right? Now, I'm going to have I'll help as much as I can, but I'm going to be out of contact for the next 3 days, right? Just people note that I'm not going to be contactable for 3 days. I won't be posting, I won't be answering. So you need to push. If you're with the embassy, you don't have to push KCC, you need to push the embassy, right? So depending on whether your case in category 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, I've already said, who do you push, right? If your case is with the embassy, you don't need to contact KCC, and you need to push the embassy. You need to contact them, and don't take no for an answer. You've got weeks to sort this out. We may get an extension on September 25th, but don't gamble on that, right? Push. For Georgie, how to push for the named plaintiff? Right, they're going to be pushed by the government. The order was very clear, and it's the sort of order that normally gets action from the government. So the named plaintiffs will be sort of prioritized on a list, and various departments, KCC and other departments, will be told to do all they can to help those people as quickly as possible. So you don't need to do much, but there's no harm in contacting KCC saying you're a named plaintiff. What are they doing for you? Why not? Give them a call. Okay, Ho for own. Could you explain more about Group 5? You didn't get the 2NL. You didn't get the 2NL, Ho, but I'm assuming you're saying in Group 5 because you also didn't get the ready for scheduling email. In that case, I think there's very little chance for you. Sadly, I don't think there's going to be time to sort those people out apart from named plaintiffs on the lawsuits. So same question for Mohammed, same thing. Right, so Mo, then you've got some possibility and you need to contact your embassy and try and push, okay? Right, Guitar I'm murdering that name, I'm sorry. But just saying, last time I called KCC, they told me the pause working on all DV 2020 and the only solution is to apply for 2022. Right, so that's now been reversed. They should not have paused working, and that's precisely what the order is saying. But depending on the situation, it may or may not come about for you. I don't know what your situation is. 2021, not talking about that. Nutty, you're back again asking the same question. I don't believe this order or Meta's decision will apply to you. We'll wait and see. But the chance of getting an extension on September 25th is quite small. It's not easy. It's a very difficult. It's taken 8 days to get this order. There's lots of complex and competing law. It's not going to be easy. Nerty, ask one time, right? One time only. Dear. Waleed, what about the countries? Right. Good question. What about the countries under PP 4699 like Sudan? Travel bans have not been blocked by this order. We were not trying to block those bans because they have already been approved by the Supreme Court. So people who are affected by the travel ban are still blocked, right? So there's a number of countries now banned in that way. And I'm not talking about the Schengen area ban or restriction. I'm talking about the travel ban that was ostensibly for security reasons, but it's really about Muslims. So there you go. So unfortunately, Waleed, that means that still applies to you if you're from Sudan. Else Fiji. So sorry, this may sound dumb. So we do get the visa stamp before the September. We can still enter the US and not wait for the December after. Right. So what I'm saying now, Else, is you get the visa reissued or approved if you were on AP or if your interview is cancelled, the first 3 groups. You'll get that before the September 30th deadline with a bit of luck, and that's not certain, but there's a chance, right? And then you would have to wait for entry until January, until after the 31st deadline, because what the order said, the order did not object to the president's restriction on entry, but the order points out and accepts the argument that the lawyers have made that entry and issuance are 2 separate things. So you should be issued, the visa should be issued, but you can't enter. So you can get the visa and then travel next year after the order ends, after December 31st. What's that? It looks like Herman just donated some money or something. I've never seen that before, so don't know what that is. So thank you, Herman, for that donation. I guess that's to ask a question. For DV 2020, will the people whose interview was already in place but got cancelled and they're not in the lawsuit, will they get a chance for interview? Yes. So you're group 3, if that's your situation, Herman, you're in group 3. And what the order says is that there's no reason why the visas can't be issued and processing can't take place for those people. So you need to push your embassy, and you probably need to get a new medical because now you're gonna have to go and have an interview. If your embassy is totally unable to see you because there's terrible pandemic problems there, then that might not be possible. But if they're able to treat you, they should be able to. Most embassies are not fully open, but they're doing what's called mission critical or emergency appointments. And what this order says is that DV cases can be treated as an emergency. Mission critical. So you should be able to have a face-to-face interview or an interview by phone if they want, or an interview, by Zoom meeting or something. They should be able to arrange it for you. And so contact the embassy and say, what you're going to do for me. The interview was cancelled. Same answer for you, David Catcher. There's a chance, yes. Nerty, all by yourself. You're making my life difficult. 4 times in a row you're asking that same question. Lol, Nerty. Yeah, right, Georgie. Did I not answer it, Nerdy? Is that the problem? So if Meta change the fiscal year for DV, will the changes touch people who do the procedure inside the USA? So last time, Nerdy. You need to clear up your process by September 30th. DV cases in adjustment of status in America are prioritized highly. You don't need to ask for expedites and all that sort of thing because they're already expedited cases. So as long as you've filed properly and followed the instructions by the fantastic someone's mum in the immigration forum, as long as you've followed all the instructions, you should be able to get your case through by September 30th, and you shouldn't need any sort of extension anyway. I've rarely, only very rarely, seen like a couple of cases that couldn't be adjudicated by the end of the year. So Nerty, please don't ask me any more questions. That's it, right? So. I'm not answering questions on family-based visa categories. The order is not as generous to other cases other than DV. They've accepted the argument that that DV cases are somewhat special and unusual because of it's called sundowning or sunsetting. There's a deadline for those cases, and so they've treated them specially. Nerty, are you? I want to know the answer because the attorney can offer scam. I had a dialogue with a guy called Ian on online. I think Nerty and Ian, perhaps you're talking about the same thing. You're saying because attorney very often scam. I told Ian that he needs to speak to an attorney. He needs help. If you're just filing now in September, I believe you may already have an attorney. If you do, speak to your attorney and get them to get their arse into gear. You don't have to apologize, Nerty, but anyway, get your arse into gear. You deserve your visas, and you should get sorted out. Okay. Oh, thanks, PS01 for the previous video can be replayed, so this one can be as well. Thank you. That was my point there. Right, I'm in case 2, as you stated. So what should I do? What should I send to my embassy? Send an email to your embassy, Dennis Kalala. Send them an email, contact them by phone. Whatever you have to do, you do it. Right. This is not the time to be sitting back and waiting to be helped. You now need to get on with it. Fight for what's yours, and do the best you can. DV 2021 interviews will start maybe in November, maybe in December, but there's a whole year to go. So let's not worry about DV 2021 now. Okay. All right. So, in case I believe I will won this year. Okay, DV 2022 is soon. So, fingers crossed you there. David Catcher. So if I understand correctly, after the visa, it's not possible to travel to the USA before 31st of December. Yes, that's my understanding too at the moment. It's kind of bizarre. I'm not sure how they're going to implement that, to be honest. Somebody who is holding on to a visa prior to the immigrant ban was able all of this time to enter the USA. So how they're going to differentiate between these things, I don't know. But on the face of it, it looks like you'll be delayed until January. But frankly, that's better than never getting a visa, right? So whether it's January or whether it's now, remains to be seen. But we'll see. Ahmed Wazir, this is a good question. I applied in the lawsuit link you sent earlier and did send in my documents in February. Should I expect or do anything further? I've no notification from KCC. Okay, so I asked people I was working with the AILA and they asked me to contact or to get people to put their names forward for the lawsuit. Right, and so I got about 1,000 people within a few hours. I mean, it was amazing response. About 1,000 people responded, I think, within a few hours, perhaps a day. And you may be one of those people, Ahmed. The AILA chose some people more or less at random, but with some reasoning to it. They chose some people from each of those groups. And when we talk about named people, there are 7 of the people named on the AILA case. There are many more named people on the other lawsuits. So only those 7 are the named people for the AILA case, the Gomez case. But on the other cases, there are many more people. Which means if you didn't choose to be, for example, on Curtis Morrison's lawsuit, which was designed to get priority scheduling, then you may not get prioritized. But depending on your situation, what category, there may be some help for you anyway. Waivers to the countries under restrictions like Sudan still valid or not, Walid? There are some waivers. They're hard to get. It's not just because you really want it. There's got to be some reason, family reasons, family connections, or business reasons, etc. So it may or may not be possible to get a visa, a waiver, but you need an interview for that to happen, and you may not be able to get an interview, so that's going to be the problem there. Okay, DJ, you're asking about the 25th of September. Is the 25th of September the last order of Meta for extending or not? Right. So Judge Meta has asked for a report due on the 25th of September to ascertain at that point who has been helped out of the people that he's trying to help now. And it'll be up to him to decide at that time, and it will be within the next few days whether he extends or not. I don't know what he'll do. He may extend for named people only. That would be possible. That would be, frankly, in my opinion, the most likely outcome. If there are a group of people who Judge Meta has told the government to sort them out as a priority. He's told them now to sort them out as a priority by the 30th of September, and they haven't done that. I wouldn't be surprised if he says, okay, then these 100 people or 200 people or whatever the number is remaining, I'm going to order you to set aside their visas for issuance in October or November with the 30th of September date on them. That wouldn't be a surprise. What would be a bigger surprise to me is if he applied that same standard to every case, right, and just extended the whole thing for every case based on what I've read about the order. The central argument that the proclamation was unlawful has not been won, and so it's clear that we've lost time, but we don't have quite the same power of it, that if we had won that central argument. The proclamations themselves are being allowed to continue. Okay, let's do a couple more of these, then I'm going to have to call it a night. You're in Curtis's case, so this is, I'm sorry I can't read that name, but you're in Curtis's case. In what group am I? My documents should be in the embassy already, but not scheduled interview. That doesn't make sense. If you're not scheduled for interview, the embassy don't know anything about you. When you're scheduled for interview, the case is sent by KCC to the embassy. So I don't know what group you're in. I would guess you're in group 4 or group 5. But because you're in Curtis's case, you will be treated as a priority and you may get helped. But I don't know if there's going to be time to finish your case and schedule it. I don't know. You'll need to contact Curtis for that information. Miriam, je comprends pas. I'm sorry. My schoolboy French is terrible. I speak French, German, and Spanish, but only Spanish well enough to get by. So I'm sorry. You'll have to get a translation after the time there, or translate what's on my blog. Why did Brit say forget October interviews for 2021 winners? Well, if you read my blog, you'll understand why. October interviews should have been scheduled in August. So when we went past the end of August, we're already into September. That's when they start to schedule November interviews. So we've already lost the opportunity to schedule October interviews. But that's 1 month out of 12. So, the whole DV 2021 doesn't rest on whether we get October interviews or not. So just, don't worry about that. Let's focus on the 12 months of processing that we have, minus the 11, the 1 month or 2 months that we lose. That's not going to kill, everybody's chances, right? Let's keep that in perspective. Yeah, Miriam, I do understand that you don't speak English, and I'm sorry, I'm not able to explain this properly in French. Perhaps somebody else can. Okay, I'm trying to scan through. Um, it doesn't affect Stay Calm. It doesn't affect H-1B visas. I'm not talking about H-1B visas. This is about DV lottery. I'm sorry, I can't address your question. Joaquim, so we're losing everything until January. No, we're not losing everything until January. Uh, People have worked their ass off. They've achieved an incredible win. And some people will get processed between now and the end of September, and they'll be delayed in traveling until January. That's really, look at the bright side. That's amazing. It's not, you're not losing everything. Some people will lose everything. Yes, of course. Um, I'm sorry. I've worked very hard to make that not be the case, but that's the reality. Uh, Andrew, you just reading your thing. You're absolutely right. Yes, it's the shortage of time and the number of people. People are going to try and book a medicals even if they got no chance, right? So it's important you get on the phone and book a medical, whether or not you think you're going to need it, right? If you're in category 1, 2, or 3 and you're going to need it. Okay, please, category 4 and 5, don't take the chances away of people in category 1, 2, and 3 by booking medicals and lousing up the whole system because of that. And by the way, Andrew, the physicians may not understand why you're asking for a medical. So have the order ready in hand, printed out, ready to go, because they're not going to understand why you're asking for a medical. And in some countries, the physicians think they run the world, and they're aggressively. They're aggressively sort of holding people back because they think they know better than you do. They're not lawyers. They're not consular officers. They're physicians. So be nice to them, but get your medical. Um, Dragan, is there any possibility for the president to extend the ban beyond 31st of December? Yes, he can do whatever he wants. If he wins the election, um, for sure, he's going to cause more chaos. um, if he doesn't win the election, I don't think he'll do that. Um, because on January 20th, the new president would be in place, President Biden. Okay. Malshani Desilo, why can't I see my messages when I post? I'm reading it, so I don't know what you mean. Pratima, I answered your question earlier. Your medical is going to expire on 11th of September. You're going to need a new medical, right? That's what you need to do, and you need to contact the embassy. So let me recap. I'm going to recap for people that have joined. One quick recap. So group 1, you already had your visa. It has either expired or it's about to expire. You should contact your embassy. Um, show them the order if necessary, and arrange to have your case reprocessed. You'll have to pay the immigrant fee, the $330 again, and you should get a new medical, unless the embassy say that they can accept your medical. But I believe you should get a new medical because you need the maximum time possible. If you're on AP, this is group 2, if you're on AP, contact the embassy, see if you're approvable. You can ask them if, had it not been for the orders, would your case have been issued by now? Some people will be on AP and their case has not been resolved yet, but other people were on AP. They were probably pretty close to being approved, and may have provided documents, etc. Those people could be issued now. People with cancelled interviews, your group 3, you had an interview arranged for earlier this year. It was cancelled. You need to contact the embassy, and you don't need to contact KCC. Just contact the embassy and see if you can get that interview scheduled on an emergency basis, a mission critical basis. And when they ask what the hell are you talking about, you can show them the judgment that means you can get that. Kai Buin, Eric, he will win. So you're talking about Trump, so it means no hope for DV winners. If Trump wins, I mean, I'd be amazed. Trump is a complete moron, and has broken many laws and surrounded himself by law-breaking people, and has got the world's worst judgment. 189,000 people in America have died. We got 4% of the world's population and 25% of the world's COVID-19 deaths, and it's because Trump did a horrendous job at not getting testing. If you look at Germany, while Trump was running around in February saying the whole thing was a hoax, in Germany they had 320 test centers open in February, and they were able to test. And any country that was able to test was able to contain the COVID pandemic. So no, I truly hope people in America understand what an idiot Trump is and vote him out of office. But we'll see. Okay. Does only Curtis Morrison benefit from this? Not only Curtis Morrison. Curtis Morrison is working for a lot of people, but no, a lot of other people benefit from this too. Okay, Sirin, you're asking about the Baghdad embassy. You can possibly get to another country. You might be able to get a chance, but it's going to be difficult for you. You've only got 4 weeks left. See what you can do. Contact, do all you can, but it's going to be difficult. I did discuss DV 2021, but again, that isn't my main focus right now. DV 2021 has a year of runtime, whereas DV 2020 has 4 weeks left. Okay, so I'm focused more on DV 2020. No, the embassy should not have to wait for the State Department to do that, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if the State Department starts sending cables to the embassies, pretty quickly over this weekend. That's their normal procedure. They're a 24/7 operation. They could send information, but even if they don't, you can contact the embassy, show them the order. They might argue a little bit, but they'll contact Department of State, and they'll get clarification, and they'll be told, yes, they can arrange your interview, etc. Okay. Okay, let me give you the ruling. Let me see if I can post the ruling. I'll put my article up there. 1 second. It should be there. No. Okay. I'm going to post a link so you'll be able to access the ruling and read it for yourself if you'd like. There's a link where you'll be able to find. Oh, no, hang on. Oh dear, I'm tired. Where is it? Oh man, there. Right. That link I've just posted, you can find a copy of the ruling. There you go, Sir John. Okay, so for those people that have joined recently, I've gone through and I've summarized for each of the groups, so you can replay this. It's 43 minutes long. I think I need to cut the video now and let you replay what I've said already, rather than continually repeating the same questions. I think I've got the same questions being asked again and again. And Nerty, all by yourself, you asked the same question about 20 times. So thanks for that. Bless you, bless your heart, and good luck with your AOS case. Anyway, good luck to all of you. God bless all of you that believe in that, and good luck. Let's hope good things will happen from this, and that at least some people get through, even though everyone won't get through. I'm not suggesting everyone's going to get through, but some people will, and that's I'm pleased about that. Okay, thanks all. Good night, Abdullah. Go to bed. All right. Bye bye now. Good night.